I think that it's not. Okay. Hello, YouTube. Hello, YouTube. And welcome to. Okay, so this is the issue. Trying to turn it that way. Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Talk to Me Real, the reintroduction. I'm your host, Just Jocelyn. Today we are going to be talking all about entrepreneurship and relationships. So, as you guys know, I am a full-time entrepreneur. I've been in the entrepreneur space on a full-time basis for about 20 years now. So I've had my fair share of relationships during that time, as well as different business experiences. So I'm just going to kind of tie the two in together and mesh them as they may. But that's what today's conversation is going to be about. So before we really get into the conversation, I just want you guys to subscribe to the channel, like and follow. And if you know someone that may be interested in listening to this conversation or joining in into the chat, then go ahead and send them it below, or go ahead and comment or tag them below so they can go ahead and tune in with us live. So, once again, as I stated, I am a full-time entrepreneur, and that has come with many challenges. Any of my entrepreneurs on here know that entrepreneurship is not easy. It's necessary. It's definitely not for everybody. Although I believe that anybody can be an entrepreneur, entrepreneurship is definitely not for everybody. It's definitely not a lifestyle that can be taken for granted, that can be played around with, that can be tiptoed in and out of. It definitely takes a lot of determination, focus, etc., etc., etc. So, not really here to delve into what it takes to be an entrepreneur, but when you collide what it takes mindset wise, lifestyle wise, and take that into consideration when you align or combine a relationship, then that's where you kind of come across the reality of, oh, wait a minute, I have to take those things into consideration as well. I can't just date any old body. I can't just be with anybody. Or why do I always have issues in my relationships when it comes to my business? Or, why do I keep coming across people that just don't understand what it's like to be an entrepreneur? Or why do I keep having arguments with my partner about money? Or why can't they just understand that, things fluctuate? Or it's so many things with it. So whether you're new to entrepreneurship or you've been around the block for a while, whether you're dating, married, single, whatever the situation, all of these things are to be considered when you are entering into relationships. Because the main thing about entrepreneurship, right? A lot of people look at the outside appearance. A lot of people take into consideration what it takes to be an entrepreneur when it comes to, maybe finances. You have to be a risk taker. You have to be willing to, make some changes. You have to be, do all that. But they don't consider what it takes, like mindset wise, to be an entrepreneur, to fulfill that as your path, as your journey, like on a full time basis. Or you started multiple businesses, or you had a passion project that you turned into a six figure, and you just continue to go from there, whatever the case. Unless, like, if you haven't considered what all of that takes, like as a mindset, like you have to really be a different type of individual to make that decision. Because realistically speaking, it is against the norm still. Even here in 2025, entrepreneurship is still not the norm. It has definitely become way more popular. It's definitely become way more of a sought after, especially, if you watched the episode last week, you saw that here in Philly we had a strike last week. Thank God that all the employees are back to work, or they've reached a contract agreement, so everything is going to be fine, I suppose, moving forward. But even in that space, we were able to really look at just the difference in entrepreneurship versus employment. Because there, with that same situation, there were employees that were on strike because they were in the union and they were fighting for their rights and things like that. But simultaneously, there were entrepreneurs and hustlers and business owners and just different, people looking for opportunities. They were jumping on the opportunity to pick up some of those slack, or, to solve some of those problems that have been presented because of the strike. So there's always a twofold when it comes to entrepreneurship and employment. There's always that, that twofold. They're two different type of people. An entrepreneur, like in order to be an entrepreneur, you definitely have to have a boss mentality. You have to have a leadership quality. You have to have some innovation to you. You have to have, some other things. Of course, in order to be a great boss, you would need to be a good follower as well, or you would need that is a different personality type than someone that is exploring employment. That means you're looking for a leader. That means you are able to follow directions. That means you do have the ability to follow a system that's presented to you and effectively and efficiently, handle the business. So both people are important. However, we have to acknowledge that there's a different mindset that goes into being each of those people. So when you take that into consideration and understand that there's not a majority of people, because again, entrepreneurship is still the minority, there's not a majority of people that are choosing the path of entrepreneurship. So when you're going into the dating world, when you're going into the married world, when you're going into just out into life, the people that you come across, if you're an entrepreneur, you may not be, if you're not in secluded spaces where you're only around entrepreneurs and your circle is super tight and everybody everybody you date, everybody you see, unless you live in entrepreneur lifestyle universe or entrepreneur world or something like that, then you're gonna come across other people that may not have the same mindset of you, may not, think the same way, may not be willing to do some of the things you do, may not even understand what it takes to do what you do or be how you are, or, any of those things. So when you think about that on a day to day, and then you take it a step further to consider being in a relationship or considering dating somebody, it's like, there's a lot of people that just don't understand what it's like to be us. And it kind of becomes a level of frustration, or you can come into or across some hardships throughout throughout your dealings when you're trying to find a mate. When you are dating, now let me say, I'll give my brief little whatever. I've dated obviously people that have jobs and things like that. I myself have had jobs. I've been an employee, almost. Now, I wouldn't say almost. There was once upon a time where it was like half and half, but I've definitely been blessed to be an entrepreneur, full-time entrepreneur, accumulative longer than I have been an employee. So I'm grateful for that. But the reality is that's not everybody's story. So I've come across situations and relationships where, just even something as simple as a scheduling conflict or my scheduling abilities has been misconstrued or miscommunicated or misunderstood and caused serious rifts for something as simple as, me having a client, in the hair space, I'm working on a client and, I know mentally that I have another 35 minutes worth of work left, and a partner may perceive you as having somewhere to be in the next 2 hours, and from their perspective it looks like you are going to be all day, and it's like, well, I know what I'm doing because this is what I do. So I can look and analyze, and I have already previously analyzed what's going to happen, how long this is going to take, what all the rest of the things I need to do so that we can achieve the goal that we have. Now, again, that's how I operate. But if you don't operate like that, or if you don't understand that, or if you can't acknowledge that, or if you already have preconceived notions or misunderstandings or trauma or whatever associated with that, or even just down to the fact that you're upset that you just got off work from working all day and I'm still working, or you thought I would have been done right now, or you've been here all day, why couldn't you do this earlier, or just any of those things. It's just different things like that. Or just even down to the fact, something as simple as not having to pack a lunch for your partner because you guys can enjoy lunch together. Now, if you are an entrepreneur that is, let's say, I'll again use a hairstylist, or maybe you're a mechanic or something like that, so you don't have anything on your roster for today, and maybe you're just on call for some towing or for emergency services, then you kind of have a free, flexible Tuesday. Whereas your partner, your girlfriend, your wife, your whatever, if she has to go to work and she works at the bank and she just works Monday through Friday from 8 to 4, that's just her schedule. Now, granted, are there ways and fluctuations in which you can maneuver and make both of those things work? Can you drive up to her job and have lunch with her? Yes, now you have that flexibility. But yeah, she doesn't have the ability to drive down and meet you. So even something as small as that, just having that ability to, not only do I have the time to share your lunch break, not only is our schedules aligned, because your schedules can align and you could just talk on the phone, which would be significant if that's, where you are. But that extra step of having the ability to pop up to their job, or bring them lunch, or make them something and then take it up to the job, and y'all can sit in the parking lot or sit in the break room, or drive off somewhere if they got an hour lunch. Oh, we gonna go down the street and go to Chick-fil-A. It could be anything, but just those things. Those, so there are pros and cons to it, but it's just the understanding aspect that is mostly important when you are merging the two. Like, I think a lot of times it's not taken into consideration. Like, you can have a partner that supports your dreams, and they can hear what you're saying, and yeah, I want to do this, and one day I'm going to open up my own restaurant, or one of these days I'm going to buy out the block, or once I get whatever, one of these days I'm going to quit this job and I'm going to start rapping. I don't fucking know, whatever. But you may have a partner, you may have a mate that supports that or encourages that in real time, or in the moment when you're speaking of those dreams, and you guys are, maybe you just having a session and you Friday, I just sitting out just looking up at the stars, gazing and remembering and thinking about all of our hopes and dreams and what do we want to be when we grow up. But that's a whole different environment when you actually begin to pursue those goals and some of those things that that partner has either grown accustomed to, or that they may be used to on their own, or that they do not understand because they're not on that journey or they're not on that path. That some of those things can become conflicts. It's like, yeah, I thought it was cute when you said it 6 years ago that one of these days you was gonna quit your job and be a rapper, but now I'm a little confused what you're doing. Well, I did tell you I wanted to do that, but yeah, I thought that was 6 years ago. We were just joking, da 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 da. And now you've quit your job and the rent is due on fucking next week, and we don't have any savings because we was balling out of control last summer for your birthday. Like, and then there you go, and now you have all these problems. But that level of understanding has to previously exist in the relationship, and 9 times out of 10, if it's either not expressed and it's not serious, or it's not communicated and discussed ahead of time, you're bound to come across some just conflicts, just communication errors. So I just think that it's just so important to understand that the two do coincide. Now, can they work out? Yes, it's an amazing opportunity to be in business with someone that's in business, so they understand your struggles, they understand the things that you go through. They know you have a real partner that they understand the ups and downs of business, and when their business is going up and down just like your business is going up and down. But if anything, there y'all might be on up and down opposites. It's like, all right, well, shit, that works out because your up time is my off time. You know what I mean? If you are you own a car wash, you're an entrepreneur that owns a car wash, and I'm a entrepreneur that owns a beauty salon. Yeah, if I have let's say specific, I'm gonna get it real specific. If I have a blow dry bar and you have a car wash, then my slow time is the summertime. When it's humid and hot, ain't nobody getting a whole bunch of satin press. There's not a whole bunch of blow dries popping off if people don't want to damage their hair. I'm a hair care specialist, so I don't even support that. But there's not a lot of that going on in the summertime. But everybody's getting their car washed in the summer, so your business is popping in the summertime, and my business is maybe a little bit slower. So that means not only are my finances maybe fluctuating, of course we want to have proper systems in place where we're able to fluctuate properly and still be able to survive on the downtimes. That's the goal of entrepreneurship, to make sure that we're responsibly fluctuating. And as the business grows, you're putting things in place where it's like, okay, well, on our off season we may not be doing blow dries, but we might have to get a couple braiders in here because boom boom boom. But that's neither here nor there. That's a side note. If you guys want to have entrepreneur workshop or see me for any one-on-one business consulting, definitely hit me up, comment below, whatever the case. But that's even just something as simple as understanding that, not only financially, but then even again, like I spoke with the time. So you're scheduling, you may have a whole lot of time. Granted, now it's the summer, so you're off. Your business is a little slow. So if you're a blow dry specialist and you ain't planning on doing nothing, and you've mapped your scheduling out like a teacher does, because a teacher knows that they work in the summer. I mean, they work, all year, and they got the summer off. So they take all their vacations and they have that type of schedule. Now, you also have to take that into consideration, because then are you going to spend a lot of time away from your spouse? Because now you can't pull them away from their business because this is their busy time. So you have to take that into consideration. So you're either going to be traveling a lot alone, or they're going to be, hopefully have systems in place where they can travel with you. That can, even that conversation makes the difference. What you see the difference between you always traveling alone, or you always traveling with your homegirls, or you always traveling with the kids, and your partner is, always working. But on the flip side, y'all can't just figure that out, or y'all can both plan. And it's like, you know what? Well, I'm going to make sure that I have, you know, Raul, or Tyrone, or whoever works with me or alongside of me or in the business, or whoever the manager is, make sure that I can put some time in and put more responsibility on them in the summer, because we're going to be taking more trips, or I need to make sure I'm fluctuating and making sure that our savings is where it is, so in the summertime when you're not working, you're not stressed, and you can still do everything you want to do, and you don't have to go the whole summer without getting your motherfucking hair done and nails done and shopping and everything that you like to do, because your business is slow. So those are the things that you come across with partnership. But when you get into, that entrepreneur space and understanding what your partner has or has not going on. So like I said, I just really wanted to stress that. And I just wanted to speak on the conversation, because I think that it's not something that's delved into frequently. I don't think that people speak on the relationship aspect of business. So, of course we like to say, when we're speaking business, we're speaking business. And then, you don't big business was person and a third. But how does that work when you have an entrepreneur as a partner? Or what I think is the best situation, when two entrepreneurs are in a relationship together. That's like the bingo. That's like two personality types. Now, sometimes there are clashes, but for the most part, these are two leaders. Iron sharpens iron. So this is just like the ability to just bounce ideas off, or to understand each other's schedule, or to understand each other's frustrations, is, I just feel like it's just kind of almost the same thing. Like, I'm not saying that you're not unable to date somebody that is not in the same employment journey as you, or career journey as you, because yes, entrepreneurs can date people that are not entrepreneurs. But number one, sometimes it turns out they just end up becoming employees. Now granted, that's fine, because that's business properly. When you learn business properly, then yes, everybody in your family should be on payroll somehow, some way. Everybody in family is on payroll. Yes, mama does something, mama does the accounting, son does the cleaning, auntie does the family should go, that's how community should go. That's just how things should go. And you guys know that I feel passionately about that. Shout out to the community town hall that I will be having July 20th. If you're local here in Philly, pull up. It's going to be Sunday, July 20th, 7 p.m. 1533 West Cortlandt Street, Helene's Palace. That's a side note. I'll put the details below if you guys are interested in that. You can also RSVP. We're going to be doing it live on Zoom as well if you're not here locally. But community town hall, we're going to be speaking about services, resources, doing community survey, the whole 9 yards. So make sure you guys tune in and check that out as well. But what else do I got going on today at 5 p.m. So today is July 10th. Today at 5 p.m. we're going to be doing the Just Be You Confidence Workshop. So the Confidence Workshop is for all young ladies 12 to 25 that just want to explore, that just want to have a conversation and explore where they are in their journeys. Pretty much open for everyone. It is a free workshop. It is going to be live here on BUTV. So make sure you guys tune in. I will see you guys next week, next Thursday, 1 p.m. live for Talk to Me Real, the reintroduction with Just Jocelyn. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Oh, how do you stop it?